It's Boxing Insider Radio.
How dare them even to challenge me, these fighters, with their primitive boxing skills. You know what I mean? They're as good as dead.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's about how much you can take and keep moving forward.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Boxing Insider Radio, bringing you the very best in boxing from around the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BoxingInsider.com radio. I'm the owner of BoxingInsider.com, Larry Goldberg, and I'm joined by the one and only Curtis Spice Jones.
To this day, I'm the greatest co-host he's ever had.
I did not say I was joined by Deontay Wilder. I said I was joined by Curtis Spice Jones, who is still in quarantine somewhere in South Carolina or North Carolina.
North Carolina, get it right.
Well, so in today's episode, we have a really cool show. We've got Johnathon Banks from Kronk Gym, who has had a very decorated boxing career, but currently he is Gennady Golovkin, GGG's head trainer. And the two of you guys know each other from back in the day.
Yes, we go way back from the amateurs. This is like, two hots in a cot. You know what I mean? Sharing rooms in hotels where we couldn't afford to get our own room. We go way back in the amateur days.
So we have a really interesting conversation with Mr. Banks, and we think that you guys will all enjoy it. Joining us now on the phone on BoxingInsider.com radio is one of the top trainers in boxing, Mr. Johnathon Banks. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
We're doing pretty good. So how's this COVID thing treating you?
Being in boxing all these years, you got to learn to build up and duck and dodge certain things. So COVID is one of the things you want to build up your immune system and duck and dodge COVID. So that's the one thing you want to
do. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. What's next for GGG?
He got a mandatory. He has a mandatory coming up. With
he has actual mandatory.
Yeah, he has a mandatory coming up, and once he honors his mandatory, which they already signed for before the quarantine happened, once he honors that, then I think he'll be more than he been chasing Canelo for so long, but Canelo said no. Now all of a sudden Canelo saying yeah once he got a mandatory coming up. So hopefully that might happen. I'm looking forward to it. If it does, that'd be awesome.
So who's actually his mandatory?
His name is Camille. I can't pronounce his last name. Cesarmita.
Yeah, Cesarmita.
So what round that's going to be over? So we can get right down real quick.
For his IBF middleweight belt.
One thing about it, man, you can't underestimate the mandatory, man, because these dudes been waiting their whole careers for their shot. They've been waiting their whole careers for their shot, so they go give you the best version of themselves that they ever had. Now, don't get me wrong. I wish I could tell you 2-3 round fight, we on home. I wish I could tell you that, but being realistic, you know what I'm saying? If we get ready for 2-3 round fight, then it's gonna be a shock. It's gonna be a shock in the system somewhere. So I'd rather get ready for something hard, and it end up being a 2-3 round joint. Then get ready for a 2-3 round joint. Then it's something that we wasn't ready for.
Have they told you where this fight's going to be at?
I have not heard the location yet. No.
Is this probably going to be in front of no fans? Is that what you're being told?
I mean, that's given the circumstances of what this world is looking like, what the country is looking like, then that's more than likely a correct assessment.
Because he would be by far the largest fighter to fight in front of no fans.
That's true, right?
By far.
Right. Well, I looked at the WWE, man. The other day I seen it on Cam TV, and there was nobody in the building. You know what I'm saying? They had no fans. And it was so obvious when they do a third tap and tell my man to let me go, the dude let him go and flip him and all that. It just was crazy. The no fans thing was crazy.
A guy like Triple G, I don't see that like bothering him at all. Like the whole fans, and I mean, he loves big drama. The show, we all know that. But like him, he seemed like I came to work, I'm going to work, and that's just it kind of guy. You know what I mean? He's like one of those straightforward guys. So like, I wouldn't think not having fans would bother him at all. But like, why not give Sergio Dermachenko a rematch?
He might. That might happen.
Was that put on the table? I haven't heard that being on the table.
I mean, I don't know.
They were trying. They were talking about having a rematch immediately following that fight, but I haven't heard anything since.
Nobody said nothing to me about it. Number one, and number two, the hell those two guys went through. Neither one of them needed nothing to be done immediately but rest. Like before the fight, when they first made the fight, I came to G. I said, "Listen, man, this is gonna be a hell in the handbasket fight." You know what I'm saying? Because when you say style make, when people, it's a cliche when people say style make fight. But unless you know for a fact how this opponent breaks down, and that style clashes, and this gonna be one of the roughest fights in your recent years. This is what I'm saying to him. And I'm saying I'm breaking Dermachenko down the sand and letting them know that what type of fight we in for. You know, and that's why, you know, we prepared because I knew we was gonna be in a hell of a battle.
That fight should have been fight of the year. That was a hell of a fight. But I think from the fan standpoint and now being a fan of the sport, I mean, I've always been a fan, but like I feel like sometimes you take away from it when you don't put these fights right back at each other. You know what? Some people say he won, some people say he won. Let's do it again. You know what I mean? And I understand Triple G's point with who doesn't want to fight Canelo again? I mean, there's an extra zero on top of on the end of the number that you get. So I don't blame him. You know what I mean? And it was an exciting fight as well. The two fights were exciting as well. But it's like, how do we get to the point where we can make the best fights happen? I mean, do we round up all the promoters and put them in a room and force them to make fights? I mean, what do we do?
I mean, that's actually what it sounds like needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? Because you got certain people that won't fight on another network. You know what I'm saying? So now you got a network issue. You know what I'm saying? You see how for Lenz Lewis and Mike Tyson to fight, both networks had to come together.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So those are the situations that you got PBC fighters that may not want to fight on the zone. Zone fighters may not want to come over to PBC. You know what I'm saying? Or PBC and Showtime under the same umbrella. You know what I'm saying? So that's where you getting it in.
Shit, they should all come to agreement. Do you agree? Like the champion, whoever has the belt, or whoever's the A side, get the TV rights or the promotion rights. Like if I'm the champion and if I'm the champion and you're on ESPN or whatever the case may be, and you don't have a belt, but you're number one for my belt, instead of you not fighting for the title, you come over here on Showtime and fight me or Fox or whatever the case may be. I mean, do you agree that would be like a great way to still have fights?
Well, that would take some of the negotiating leverage away.
In theory, that would be great. In theory, that would be great. But I'll tell you this: if I own a Ford dealership, if I own Ford Motor Company, that's my stock. I got my stock in Ford Motor Company, and just so happened, Jeep Wrangler became the champion, and I want to take that crown. There's no way, since I got more champions, I got a bigger resume. There's no way I'm gonna bow down and go to your side when the most value is on my side. This is the thing you're dealing with in boxing. When you got a stable that controls majority of the belt holders as well as the heavyweight, then they're more reluctant to come to your side and to bow down to say, okay, let's get this done. because they got so much going on and because they got so much value over here. So they're very, very reluctant to say, okay, well, we will try to come to your side. It's going to say either come to our side or we going to move on and find something.
Because it's basically impossible, being that the Zone is an app and Fox is a network. I mean, it's basically impossible to, like, have these two clash. So now you would never get, like, a Canelo-Charlo fight or even, like, Triple G versus Charlo. Like, people would love to see these fights happen. Like, I would love to see these fights happen. I mean, I'm glad I don't get punched anymore. So I definitely want to see these fights. I would love to see them beat each other up. I mean, we have to.
Yeah, I would love to see those type of fights happen as well. And usually back in the day, it's like the bigger the platform, the more possibilities the fighters get to fight. But now the fighters are fighting more, but they're going in two separate directions. It's like the best going east and the other best going west. The best of the best not meeting in the middle, and that's always gonna be a problem.
Definitely. Honestly, I think technology has ruined boxing to a certain degree because now you have apps. I mean, you got away from all.
Oh no, you're just talking about one network that has more money than everybody else. You're not talking about technology. You know, it's just the fact that the Zone is paying all this money and they control GGG and Canelo's contract for TV. They're not going to want to give them up.
I'm not just saying it. I'm just saying it's like we live in a social media world, and it's like we watched social media stars go on as headliners and world champions fight on the undercard.
Which hurt my stomach. Made me sick to my stomach. It was like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we watched all of this happen in the blink of our eyes. Like,
yeah, that's what I say. It made me sick to my stomach. But what I will say is that I can't say social media and the era of the media have ruined boxing. What I would say is it gave it a different look because fighters are getting more money now. It's easier to get sponsorships now than it ever was back in the day. It was so easy to get sponsors now. It's so easy. You don't even need sponsors. You brand your own stuff. Come up with your own brand. And boom, social media, if it kick off, you good. So I like the fact that these fighters are able to get, it's easier for them to get the opportunities to brand themselves. But I do get what you're saying where at some point they don't have the full control they say they have because the best can't fight the best. And the best say they want to fight each other. But if they can't fight each other, then it got to be something that's out of the fighter's control. So you can't say, I run my career, and then say, well, this fight can't happen because of so-and-so. Those two things don't match. If you really run your career and you really want to boss up and talk, you run your career, then you should be able to fight whoever you want to fight in boxing.
The great Emmanuel Stewart said to me, Curtis, I gotta do his name, but these motherfuckers don't know what they're doing. You know, the boxers, the boss, they don't realize it. They just don't have the money. When they wake up and find out what the fuck going on, I mean, you know.
Listen, man, that was crazy. And you know what? It's funny you mocking him because tomorrow would have been his birthday.
Oh man, I know that was your guy.
But you got it spot on, and I love it because you're right though. These guys are like one thing I learned quite a bit from this man, but one thing he let me know was he kept saying that the fighter is the moving force. So if you're the moving force and everything else is moving around you, but you're the moving force. So when you stop, everybody else, they don't just stop. They slow down for a minute, and then they come to a stop because you're the moving force. And these fighters, the champions, if you're the moving force and you realize that, still nobody better stop you from fighting somebody else. If that's what you want to do.
That is very well put. I mean, like we go back years, like from the amateurs and stuff like that. And this is piggybacking off of what I'm saying. We watch these guys, Paul Logan and all these other guys. Like me and you were national champions and stuff like that in the amateurs, right? But my pro debut, I got $2,500. I said we were national champions and we were highly decorated amateurs at one time. My pro debut, I got $2,500. Your pro debut, you probably got about the same for that. And these guys come into boxing who don't know anything about boxing, and not only do they become headliners, they get paid way more money than like actual real fighters.
Exactly.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting. I'm disgusted. You know how many times I have
right. You see, but that's the good. It's always a positive negative about this social media age. Like the positive part is the actual fighters can get such a following that sponsors chase after them, and they make their money outside the ring. They make their money inside the ring. But the downfall to that is you got so many social media stars that think that just because they see people do something on TV, they can get on TV and do the same thing, and it becomes just as easy. You know, so that's what you have. I mean, you got two social media stars going at each other. You know, but if they say they're real fighters, then I say fight a real fighter. You already had your pro debut, fight another professional.
Man, I'll come out of retirement and fight Paul Logan or one of those guys. Hey Larry, I'm taking leave from Boxing Insider Radio, and I'm going to put it back on the gloves to fight Paul Logan or whatever, KSRS1 or what's this guy's name? I don't even know. I'm taking leave to go fight one of these guys.
KSI Logan Paul.
You one of the guys that's fortunate enough that actually, if you really wanted to do that, you can. Then you come back to radio. I got so many fighters out here that can't put a proper sentence together to get on one of these platforms. This is my issue with a lot of these fighters, that they don't take advantage of being in the media to learn how to talk to the media and learn how to interact with people so they can somehow expand their vocabulary. So when they is done fighting, they can do something what you do when they're talking on a podcast radio. They can do stuff like that, but they limit themselves because they won't educate themselves.
Well, they also, like back in the days, like I know personally, like when Zab he turned pro, and like Mayweather, those guys had speech. They used to go to speech to learn how to speak. The money was invested where these guys were taught to be gentlemen, more so than like just whatever. You know what's going on now. Let me not say it, but
right.
Like they don't go like this, like because Javante Davis, and I love the kid to death, but the kid sounds like Cardi B. Like if Cardi B was a male, the way he talk, like it sounds horrible. This is no disrespect. Like I don't understand what the kid says. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you now.
And you're absolutely right. I guess they have to educate themselves to know exactly where they're going in the sport and how they can control their destiny more so than anything. You're absolutely right.
Because I think it's gonna be another. It may be another. I don't know if it's say another lifetime. It's gonna be a long time before one of these fighters reach the financial status of Floyd Mayweather.
Definitely.
I mean, if you think about it, think about this. When people was in the uproar praising Muhammad Ali for him and Joe Frazier, I think they made about $3 million apiece. No, they made $1 million apiece. Don King negotiated them $1 million apiece, and at that time, that was insanely huge for some heavyweights to make $1 million fucking dollars, man. Like really, that was insane to make $1 million. You know what I'm saying? So now, come back. Now you wait 10 years from that. Foreman is back fighting again. He retired. He come back fighting again. Now he's making he's making what $2 to $3 million fighting, and that was a lot of money at that time. Now, if you got a big time fight, if you come up with a guy, you got a top contender, you give him $3 million. He can say, "My man getting 15. Why I got to get just 3?" It's not the same no more. They're able to make a lot more money now. But I just don't see nobody reaching the platform that Floyd got to.
Oh, nobody. I don't.
So that's
see.
why they need to come up with something else to do outside of what they're doing.
But you got to also remember, like, Floyd had to play the villain. Like, if you look at him when he was Pretty Boy Floyd.
Well, he was the villain of the second part of his career.
He was Pretty Boy Floyd. I was the biggest fan of Pretty Boy Floyd, man. He was savage.
You're right. You know how it was, man. You know what I'm saying? When we first met him out there in Vegas, Golden Glove National. Yeah, we was hype. You know, we was kids. You know, but like, he was Pretty Boy. But when he became Money May, he became America's Most Wanted. Like, he was John Dillinger of this time. You know what I mean? Like, people came to see him lose. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and then he knew how to talk to, like, get up under your skin. That's rare within his own. You know what I mean? Like, he's well spoken. You know what I mean? So it's like he knew how to. You know what he say? You know, getting his cash. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's flaunted it. People wanted him to. People built up people in their head. Like, before the Manny Pacquiao fight, I knew you knew, just like I knew, just like most of the boxers knew. Like, Manny was never gonna beat him. I knew that from off the rip. I don't know if you thought the same thing.
Yeah, no, I didn't think. I thought Manny had a chance just because he's another fighter. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, like, Floyd beats him 10 times out of 10.
Listen, Floyd beat him 10 out of 10. I mean, the only one time I doubted Floyd ever, and that was against Diego Corrales, because I just thought Diego Corrales was a monster, and he was way bigger.
He was Pretty Boy at that time. He was Pretty Boy. But see, I was in Vegas. I was in Vegas at that time, and I knew some things about Diego where I knew that he wasn't Diego. He wasn't that Diego del Castillo that came back out of nowhere. It came back and stopped him. He wasn't that same Diego. You know what I'm saying? And again, not taking nothing away from what Floyd did with him, because he still had to step up his game to beat that version of Diego. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying Diego wasn't the same type of. He wasn't that guy that he should have been on that night. But Floyd still stepped up and did what he had to do, and that alone, to me, that was amazing.
That was amazing. It's a word. That's his best performance ever.
It had to be, man. It had to be, because just the way he just was vicious, man.
George Foreman, like, commentate that fight right now, and like he was just picking him. Like, how many knockdowns? 7 knockdowns? That was amazing.
Man, it was. It definitely was.
But yeah, other than that, we done covered the Triple G. Let's talk about your career and how your career went. How do you? Yeah, you know what's so funny? People used to always, like, tag me on pictures of you. I guess because we're bald-headed and dark skin with a beard. And then you went the blue Yankee went there. I said, "Oh man, I'm cursed for life." They're gonna keep thinking of Jonathan Banks. But like, I mean, guess what? I guess all black people looking like, I don't know. But let's assess your career. I mean, you had a pretty decent career. I mean, you went into camps and you sparred with the steel hammer. Like, how was it sparring the steel hammer, bro? Like, you got more heart than anybody. You know what I'm saying? You were sparring.
It was good though, man. I was very, very blessed to come up with Emmanuel Stewart, man. I was able to spar Vladimir as well as Vitaly, and that right there was experience for a lifetime for me. So it was good, but I guess I was shocking to him because I was smaller than him, but I wasn't scared of him. So I stepped to him however I needed to step to him because that's just me. I never really cared about no size of nobody. If the gloves on, then let's fight.
Who gave the most trouble? Like Vitaly, because they had that argument between the brothers throughout the years. You would always get compared to your brother, but who did you struggle the most with?
Well, it's kind of hard to say because I was sparring Vladimir for years, and I was sparring Vitaly for like maybe 2 years because Vitaly wasn't fighting as long as Vladimir. And struggle-wise, it's just a difference because naturally I'm going to box you. If I can box you, I'm going to box you. And Vladimir was a boxer. He was a mover as a boxer. But he was just like super big to be able to do that. But as long as he was doing things I can calculate, then for me personally, I don't have to struggle because I know what's coming, and I got a good feel for punches. I know what's coming, what should and shouldn't come when I'm dealing with somebody that's just a natural boxer because that's what I'm used to. But Vitaly does nothing regular. He does everything like weird type of thing, man. This dude, his hands are down. The way he punches, the angle he punches in. So I would have to say Vitaly, man, because Vitaly, it was just so difficult to, it was just so difficult, man. One time, I think he was going for a right hand and ended up hitting me in the back of my head. I said, whoa, my man, like, you realize you hit me in the back of the head? You know what I'm saying? Because the way, just his angle of punches, it was just really, really awkward and difficult to deal with that dude, man. And he just had no problem letting his hands go to be that big. He just throwing a lot of punches.
And it was hard.
Exactly. Like I could tell. Like I could tell the first time we sparred, I could tell he wasn't trying to like bang the lights out because we was sparring. He wasn't trying to go for the knockout. I could tell that. You know what I'm saying? I see that. But I'm like, they still was like, somebody throwing like heavy rocks on your shoulder. It's like they don't hurt, but you like, man, like after a while, you're like, man, I feel that, man. Would you stop? It was that type of thing, man. It was crazy though, man. Yeah, it was crazy, but it was fun though, man. I had a good time. These guys are like, first class dudes, man. Because I went from my first training camp. I was in Lynn Lewis training camp. That's my first training camp I've ever been in. At 16 years old, he might even took me to Lynn's camp. So I went from Lynn's camp. Then I basically grew up through boxing in the Klitschko's camp. And it was one of the best experiences ever for me.
You know what's so crazy? Like, growing up, you know what I'm saying? Like, growing up, I could, like, we always used to talk about, like, even though sometimes being Lorenzo Reynolds used to prank call your house and stuff.
Right.
It's so funny. But, like, we all saw, like, you becoming this trainer. Emmanuel, I don't know, listen, between you and Aaron Williams,
I don't know how. I didn't see it.
He was,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you, Emmanuel would tell me all the time. Like, he is like, Johnathon is your calling. I want you to stay here. Lynn's going to be working this time. I'm like 16 years old. Lynn's going to be working this time. Stay there. Just watch him. And, you know how I think this and that. And then when it comes to Vladimir, like he said, I'm leaving. You stay here with Vladimir. He's like, you think how I think. And I want you to watch him. I want you to do this and that. And let me know when I get back on Monday. And I'm like, okay. But, like, that was it. I never said nothing else about it. I'm like, why you keep telling me that? Like, he kept telling me. He kept telling me. And I'm like, man, it never, nothing, on all the stuff he taught me, nothing dawned on me until once he passed. And, well, before he passed, he said for me, he wanted me to train Vladimir. I still said, nah, man, he crazy, man. Ain't nothing I would do. And I was on my way to the gym. I was in Detroit. So I'm on my way to the gym. I get a call, like, what Vlad doing calling? I I said, yo, what's up? And he told me, JB, I need a coach. I said, okay, I'm thinking about to think of some names to get to him. You know what I'm saying? You need a coach. He said, no, I don't think you understand. I want you to be my coach. I'm like, oh, okay. He said, you hear what I said? I said, I heard you. He said, why you just say okay? You ain't never trained nobody before. You just say okay. I said, listen, you told me what you need. And I'm saying, okay. If that's what you want, then that's what I do. And that's just my mentality. I just always do. Like, if I'm going to do it, then I'm going to do it. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not going to complain about it. If I can't do it, I can't do it. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not going to complain about it. That's just what it is. But I personally, I'm telling you, I've never seen it. I'm just saying, I don't, because I love helping people.
We all saw
That's
this,
one
man.
thing about me. I love helping people, but I never saw that.
Man, we all saw this, man. We all talked about it. I said, man, I be calling Emmanuel every day. I said, but Jonathan with him every 5 minutes. I said, man, he worked you, man. He tutors you, man. He dropped that knowledge on you. That's what sometimes I talk boxing, and I could do this radio thing, like you know. It's like, you know, I have a lot of conversations with Emmanuel. Will Emmanuel like tutored me on boxing, and we talked about fights and just different things. And he talked a whole bunch of shit. Don't get it twisted.
Oh, yeah, he's good. I love that dude for that, man. He talks so much, man. One thing I missed about it, I missed my, 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls, man. He just randomly called me at 3 o'clock in the morning. We talked for an hour. Oh, okay. I'm about to go to sleep. Okay, buddy. And he just hang up the phone, and I'm like, I'm wide awake now. I can't go back to sleep.
Yeah, he was a trip, man.
He was a very, very special man. A lot of people that seen him just as a commentator or just as a trainer would never really grasp the specialness, the special type of dude he really was.
Let me tell you something. He did something for me in 2002. Like, my mom had got into a little jam. We couldn't get enough money to get down there to the Pals. He definitely paid for me to go to Pals, and I became national champion. I mean, that was great. Otherwise, I'd have missed that. I would have missed that tournament. I would have being the national champion. You know what I mean?
I remember that, man. I remember him telling Laney what to do, what he was about to do. But that's the dude he was, though. He didn't have to have no leverage in finding you. He wanted to help you. You know what I'm saying? And that's where me and Emmanuel, that's where we clicked at, because I just love to help. Like, if I can help somebody, I help. You know what I'm saying? I ain't asking for no money. I ain't asking no money before or after. If I can help you, I help you. And you get on with your life, and I get on with mine. That's the type of dude he was, man. That's the type of person that I already was, and we just clicked, man. It was amazing.
Definitely. Larry, where did you go, Larry?
Oh, I'm not in the middle of this one. You guys are doing great without me.
Let me find my esteemed colleague. Think about it. Yo, Jonathan.
No, this is a fascinating conversation. I don't have anything to add.
Yo, look, Jonathan, I'm Shannon Sharp, and he's Skip Bayless. This is
please don't ever call me Skip Bayless again.
Oh my goodness, man.
Hey, Skip.
You're lucky you're in another state, Curtis, because that was kind of insulting.
Come on,
Skip. Go on. Drop your knowledge. It's your turn, Skip.
That is so funny.
While I got him here, I'm just kind of curious just a little bit from the media side. I was at that press conference when you came out for the first event with GGG, and I'm just kind of curious how your relationship with him started then and where it is right now.
Well, me and G already knew each other because of the Kazakhstan connection, because he was born in Kazakhstan. Vladimir Klitschko was born in Kazakhstan. And they grew up Russian, and so did the brothers. They are from Ukraine, but, they're Russian. Their mother's Russian, their father's is Ukraine. So that connection with them, with the brothers alone, how me and Triple G met, and, I mean, we wasn't the best of friends, but when we seen each other, we had a mutual respect for each other. But just like most fighters, if a fighter see another fighter they've seen on TV, when they see each other, they go speak, whether they have a long conversation or not, they go speak, and it's almost like a paternity of respect when you get. It's like soldiers, man. When you see another soldier walk past, yeah, he might have been wounded on the battlefield, but you still give him his same respect because y'all y'all under the same thing. So that's how it was for me and Triple G. And how it is now, I just left him like maybe a week ago, and we good. We had some good work getting in, and everything is rolling like it should be.
Well, at that first press conference, the chatter among the media was pretty much that he's an established fighter, so you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So I guess my question to you is, has he been able to adapt, or are you just kind of polishing where he was in the past?
I mean, I'm not trying to teach him nothing new because Triple G has a lot of amateur experience, man. He got over almost 500 fights or something like that, man. It's sick. But it's not so much new I'm trying to teach him. It's just trying to add a little to what he already has. It's like you got me something good on the stove, but sometimes I gotta add my little flavor to it, just to pop it out a little bit, just make it better a little bit more, to make it do something that it naturally wasn't doing, or to make it do something it was already doing, but do it a little better. That's really what it boils down to.
Harry, he's adding the macaroni and cheese.
We know you love the macaroni and cheese. When we were taping the show in New York in the studio, Curtis made me buy a macaroni and cheese after the tapings.
Oh wow!
So that's his little inside joke. We're gonna have to call him on that.
I'll never make 160 again.
You might not make 260.
I believe that.
Oh man, this is definitely fun, man.
So could you? I'm kind of still on GGG. How was he? And during the pandemic, was he able to train this whole time? Was he able to?
Yeah, he was able to.
Like he had a gym. Was he sparring?
He still got his own place where he can have a conditioning guy to come over and they work out together. But me and him and I spent the whole month of June together. And in the gym, and that's what we did. We spent the whole month of June together in the gym, and up in Big Bear actually.
And he's looking for a fight in September with no fans, or is that his tentative date? Or
he's at a point where honestly he don't care. But I think most fighters don't really care who's in the audience. They're real fighters, because when you in the gym ain't that crowded. You know what I'm saying?
No.
You got the person you came in with and a couple other amateurs usually in the gym. The gym's usually not that crowded. So even if the gym is crowded, you drown everybody out mentally anyway. So if there's no fans, right.
if
there's no fans,
come to the gym with 50 people.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I think he has was it 3 or 4 more fights left on his DAZN contract. Well, if you were able to choose what fights he might be able to have, other than obviously Canelo, what fights would you guys be looking to have?
It wouldn't matter to me. I don't. I mean, I'm not looking at the rankings right now, but it wouldn't matter to me. I honestly wouldn't care who he fights. You could go from the top contender to the top challenger, however you want to do, to the other champions. It really wouldn't matter to me. I just would love to see him continue to get in the ring, whether it's fans or no fans. Let's just get it done.
And let me kind of to move away from GGG. I wanted to bring back to where Curtis was talking to you about sparring with the Klitschko brothers. How do they fit in with the current crop of heavyweights, like with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua?
How do they fit in?
If they were in their prime right now, how do you see the heavyweight picture?
I still don't see nobody beating Battalion. That's my opinion, and I think circumstances circumstances with Vladimir and the Tyson Fury fight, that I think that pretty much got people like, well, I don't think if he was any younger, he probably couldn't beat Tyson Fury either way. But that's always gonna be a debate type of thing. But I think they can hold their own with anybody. In my opinion, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to. Whether they just walk through and beat everybody, who knows who will be able to do that. But as far as the heavyweight holding their own in different eras, I think the Klitschko brothers will be able. I think they have done enough in the division in their careers to give them the benefit of the doubt that they'll hold their own in different eras, in this era or previous.
Oh, for sure. Now, who do you think of the top three heavyweights is the best? Who's gonna be the last man standing?
I don't know who's going to be the last man standing. It's hard to say. It's really, really hard to say because people got tired of the Klitschko brothers. A lot of people got tired of Leonard because he was consistent and he stayed champion for a long time. So when you run consistency, then that's what a lot of people when Curtis was talking about Floyd. A lot of people hated him because he was consistent. He kept winning. He was consistent. So let's see who's going to stay consistent and sustain it over the course of 4 to 5 to 6 years. I think that's going to be the biggest tale of the tape of the last man standing.
I mean, I also believe it's all about how you're staying consistent. I mean, because if you look at like Wilder's career, they're just knockouts. I mean, who would not love to see a knockout? Like everybody loves seeing knockouts. You know what I mean? It's like with Fury, him being consistent. You might get to I got tired of his singing Jesus Christ. I heard him in Vegas. Oh my God! Oh my God! But it's like even with like Joshua, it's like Joshua. I mean, he showed people a different dynamics of his game. What people would say, like in the second fight with Andy Ruiz. I mean, to me, I look like he ran from a short guy. But other than that, I mean, like I could see those guys being looked at as boring, supposed to Wilder's, because now it's like the worst thing that can happen is like, oh, either he knocks you out or you knock him out. You know what I mean? So you're gonna get excitement either way. To this day.
Yeah, I agree.
Deontay Wilder.
I agree with that. Deontay Wilder is always going to be an exciting matchup, whether win, lose, or draw. That's one thing you guarantee is going to be exciting. But it's like when you saying who's going to sustain these victories one after the other over the course of the years, like it's hard to say right now.
Mm-hmm. Who's your favorite little guy right now?
Little guy?
Yeah, who's your favorite little guy right now?
Little guy, anybody under 160?
Yeah, anybody under 160. Who's your favorite little guy?
I don't know, man. I don't have no favorite little guy right now. You got, I'm not saying like you got. But no, what I'm saying is, I'm just about to name Shakur Stevenson, Crawford. It's a couple other guys. That's what's the one man name? The country dude. I can't think of his name now. He fought. I can't think. I'm so terrible with names right now. I can't think of my man's name. He got into that car accident.
Oh, Errol Spence.
Yeah, Errol Spence. Like you got Bud Crawford, Errol Spence, and all these other guys out here. Like I just like to see these guys fight, and I'm looking for them to fight each other.
Who wins that fight?
You know what I'm saying? Like that, I think that's a hell of a fight. You talking about Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, that's a hell of a matchup. But given the fact, okay, let me break this down. Seeing what Crawford did with with his last opponent. And seeing, no, I'm sorry, not Crawford. Seeing what Errol Spence did with his last opponent, and what Crawford did with his last opponent. Crawford is getting the edge over his opponent. Yes, seemed like he got hurt on one of them fights, but he's getting the edge over his opponent. And when Crawford hurts you, he wants to kill you. He wants to knock you out. He wants to end you. Now, I think this. I'm not saying Earl don't have this, but Crawford shows this that when he hurts you, if he hurts you, he's going to try to kill you. That's what he showed. And I haven't seen that when Earl knocked when he knocked Porter down, like that was a knockdown. I honestly looked at Porter as being hurt, but he never smashed the gas to go after him to finish it.
Well, I mean, they just going to war for 11 rounds. They went to war for 11 rounds. Honestly, I give Errol his respect because he's the only person I actually see go fight Sean Porter. Like, he fought him. He fought him back. Like, you know,
and I liked and that's what I'm saying. I liked every bit of it. If he would have moved out to box Sean Porter, I would have been mad at him. He stood toe-to-toe and fought him. I ain't mad at him. I loved every bit of it. I'm not saying anything against the dude. You know what I'm saying? I have anything against him. But what I am saying is, like, it's an old saying in the street, like, when you get a dude drunk, you mug him. You don't wait till he's sober up and try to mug him. You mug him while you're drunk. You know what I'm saying? So when you get a dude hurt, because these are what we trying to do, we trying to define the best. So if you wanted to be defined as the best, and you got a dude hurt, like, what you gonna do? And look at the legendary footsteps you walking in that weight class. Look at the Ray Leonards. Anybody know if Ray Leonard got you hurt, he's gonna smother you till you die.
FYI, Ray Leonard's the greatest boxer of all time. Sugar Ray Leonard's the greatest boxer of all time.
I can't.
Muhammad Ali is the greatest athlete of all time. Like,
I think Muhammad Ali is the greatest heavyweight of all time. I think Ray Robinson is the greatest fighter of all time, and I think Sugar Ray Leonard is right up there with him because he's amazing.
Yeah, Sugar Ray Leonard.
But either way you put, any way you put Sugar Ray Leonard, whether he's super number one or medium number one or super number one, like, I can't be mad at it either way it go because the man was, oh my goodness, he was an unbelievable fighter.
Like, he beat Tommy, right? I think Tommy right now being Tommy in this era right now does everything weight out there right now.
You said Tommy in this era right now does what?
He would knock out every welterweight out there.
Oh man, like from 1970 to 2020.
He had knocked every welterweight out. Tommy Hearns would. I don't see anybody. I wouldn't see nobody beating him. Nobody.
I would say any welterweight that was born between 1972 and 2020, Tommy knocked him out.
Wow.
Seriously, because that's how long and strong he was.
Yo, dude, he's huge. Like,
yeah, that's how long and strong the dude was.
I thought at one point in time Floyd did the right thing by staying away from Paul Williams. I think Paul would have beat Floyd. He'd have just outworked him.
Yeah, that was a smart thing to do, stay away from Paul Williams. Paul Williams was just too tall, too long.
Huge.
Yeah, he was. He was.
And look, he threw 1,000 punches.
Yes, he threw 1,000 punches, man. Paul Williams is the reason right now everybody's checking everybody weight after the weigh-in. Like, they the reason that IBF and put that thing, you can't, that 10-pound rule the next day. Paul Williams is a big cause of that. Because he weigh in at the way he's supposed to weigh in. Then he walk in the ring, they weigh him in, then he's like a light heavyweight. They're like, wait a minute, is this real?
Yo,
he's the reason a lot of rules got changed.
This is a true story.
He was getting ready for Sean Bay Mitchell. We was in training camp together. Shakur Powell was getting ready for Kasim Umar. So those two guys were sparring each other. And it was a heat wave going on the East Coast. This dude ran with a sauna suit on and sunglasses in 110-degree weather. Like,
wow.
Like, I knew how he made weight. He ran with that sauna suit on for miles and miles with a sauna suit on. In a heat wave. This dude is crazy. This dude was, like, insane. Like, his training resume was crazy. He practiced on, like, 3,000 punches every time when he hit the bag. Not hard punches, but just pity-pat, pop, 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 with the sauna suit on. He trained with it. He sparred with it on. Like, I've never seen nobody do that, ever, without collapsing at least once.
Right.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
This dude
was Paul Wills was special. And to be that tall and to take off all that weight and to put that back on, he just ruins a lot of people chances to make a weight that they too big to make. So I still, to this day, I still say, if you got somebody fighting 154 and they come in the ring at 175, did they make 154 or not? If they made 154, let them fight 154. That's just my.
That's true.
Because if they work their butt off to make that weight, if they work their butt off to make that weight, I'm only gonna complain if I'm in the opposite corner. I'm not complaining if my guy is the bigger guy.
Like, you see, like, it was Danny Jacobs and Canelo. Like, I mean, granted, Danny had to move up, you know what I mean? But, like,
right.
They found him. Like, he just couldn't – they just put all his rehydration clause into like, play with Danny, and which I thought was, I mean, good for Canelo. I mean, because he's on the opposite side. I mean, but you don't move up a weight class, 2 weight classes, and then tell somebody 2 weight classes smaller, yeah, you got to have rehydration clause.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That never would have been fine. See, that's the thing about it. Like, these people got nobody to take up for them. Like, I never would have my guy to sign. I said, we just got to skip this fight. I know it's a money fight. We got to let this one go because it's a lose-lose situation. Like, how can a sanctioned body tell me how to lose weight? And how should I regain weight? Like, that's the problem. These are commissions and sanctioned bodies. They tell the fighters how to lose weight, how soon to lose weight, and when to gain it back. You can't tell me that. My body knows what I'm doing, and I've been successful at this. So let me go fight. Your job is to count the man down. Your job is to make sure my drug tests come back clean. Your job is to make sure how I lose my weight. That's not your job. So don't say you're doing it for my safety. You're not doing it for my safety. You're doing it so you can add another value to make money.
Errol Spence told me out his own mouth. He said he's glad the Sean Porter fight was a unification fight because there's no rehydration clause in the unification fight.
Yeah, there's no rehydration clause.
But see, if it would have been the other way around where he had to be smaller, 10 pounds, I think that would have went against him. And the fight was like Sean Porter.
Once these fighters start realizing that the sanctioned body can't do nothing without the fighters, but the fighters got TV contracts already. These fighters got TV contracts. All they got to do is keep fighting and keep building their fan base. The sanctioned body is going to have to bow down to the fighter instead of the fighter bow down to the sanctioned body.
Mm-hmm. A la Floyd Mayweather.
Right. That's what Floyd made him do. That's what he made him do. Like, why in the hell would I pay a sanction fee and I'm bigger than y'all? You know what I'm saying? Because I am the sport right now. I ain't paying no sanction fees. They said, what they say? They say, yes, sir, Mr. Mayweather. Yes, sir. That's all they said. They showed their hand. Like, all you got to do is stand up to them and say, no, I'm not doing this. Because it makes, a lot of stuff they're doing makes no sense, man. Like, when I get to camp, I gotta take a video of my weight on the scale so you can monitor my weight. Who are you? Right? We ain't kids. I make the weight how I make the weight. As long as I ain't doing nothing illegal, then let me go.
I could definitely dig that. Larry, so what weight class are you going to fight in now, Larry?
154.
Hey, Jonathan, we need you for Larry. He's fighting Eric Kelly in an upcoming fight.
Oh
in
my
September.
goodness!
That actually, Curtis has been ducking Eric Kelly.
Kelly for real.
Curtis has been ducking Eric Kelly for years. It's kind of sad at this point.
Eric Kelly. I haven't heard that name in so long, bro. Like, for real.
He's fighting Eric Kelly in a charity fight.
I haven't heard Eric Kelly.
I'm the charity case.
At the Crown Gym, man.
Definitely, man. Yo, man, I ain't gonna hold you, man. This conversation was very, very dope, interesting. Like, yo, we touched on a lot of bases, man. Yo, I appreciate you, man.
Definitely.
Like, coming
hey, man,
on.
it's my pleasure. Anytime, bro. Definitely. Anytime.
Tell your boy GGG. He got to come holler at us, man.
All right.
And Jonathan,
I know my Uncle Andre, man. I got to talk to my Uncle Andre, man. That's my man. I got to holler at him, man.
Oh, definitely. You tell GGG, man, I want Big Drama Show, man. We need Big Drama Show here on Box Inside of Radio.
Okay. I got you. No problem.
Right,
John, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.